everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly. This is the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines for the week, go over some prog singles that have come out, and give you updates on the channel and what's going on here. It is September 8th, 2023, and a pretty interesting smattering of things to talk about. I'm mostly going to focus on the prog singles list because I think that's what's most interesting this week, and some of the news headlines just weren't that interesting to me. There wasn't much going on in that world, but I think there's still some interesting things to go over and discuss, so hopefully you find this show fun. And please, as always, subscribe if you haven't yet. I do this show weekly where I give you guys the updates on the latest happenings in the prog world. It's always a lot of fun to do, and I'm always excited to talk to everybody, so let's get into it and see what we've got today. I like to start with the number one prog headline being the new releases for the week. First off, we got Southern Empire releasing their album Another World, a great Australian prog outfit with a bit of a harder edge, but some pop sensibilities as well. Really great band, and I'm going to be doing a review of this album this upcoming week on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. But I'll just spoil it a little by saying it's an incredible album that's well worth checking out and a standout album for the year, so definitely look into that one. Also, the Flower Kings released their album this weekend, Look at You Now, their 16th studio album. I did a review of that as well on the channel this week, so check out that review if you're interested to know what that sounds like. And if you're a fan, I'm sure you'll be checking out the album yourself. And then Downs Braide Association has come out with Celestial Songs today. This is a melodic prog duo featuring the Yes keyboardist Jeff Downs and singer-producer Chris Braide. This is their 5th studio album through Spirit of Unicorn Records. Should be an interesting one to check out as well. A little bit more of a lighter, poppier prog affair, I'd say, but definitely some great melodies and some great hooks. And on the total opposite side of the spectrum, just as a little bit more of an oddball pick, the Mercury Tree has come out with their album Self-Similar, which is way more avant-garde type prog. Microtonal is what people call it because they explore these weird tones that aren't typical in the normal musical spectrum, and so it sounds very off-kilter and very strange, but somehow it works and creates an interesting stew of music there, so I wanted to point the attention that way. So those are some really cool releases that I wanted to mention. Item number 2 on my list, Riverside's Mariusz Duda announces a new solo album, Afraid, for November. This is coming out November 17th. Of course, Mariusz Duda is the lead singer, frontman of Riverside and Lunatic Soul, a wonderful artist from Poland who is one of my favorite heroes in the modern prog scene, so I'm always interested to see what he's doing. And it seems like this album is more in his electronic type mode, electronic soundscapes. So there's a bit of a teaser out now, a track from it that you can listen to get an idea of what the album's like, called Embracing the Unknown. So that'll be in the prog singles list, a great 8-minute single that gives an impression of the album. He did these Lockdown trilogy of albums that was in this style, this more electronic type lane, instrumental soundscapes and such. So it probably will be along those lines, but it sounds like this is more centered on the concept of AI. In fact, the title Afraid has AI separated in the middle. So really interesting solo record from Mariusz Duda. Should be interesting if you like that electronic music that he's known for in his solo stuff. Should be fun. Like I said, coming out on K-Scope Records November 17th. So another album to put on the list of things coming out. A limited edition career-spanning Greg Lake box set is going to be released. A limited edition 7-disc, 91-track celebration of the music of Greg Lake called Magical, set to be released through Manticore Records via Spirit of Unicorn Records on November 10th. So there's a video trailer that you could look up for that one. Sounds like it's going to be interesting, featuring music from his career. Both works with King Crimson and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Features both of Lake's official solo releases, 1981's Greg Lake and 1983's Maneuvers, and collaborations with Toto, Gary Moore, Asia, Jeff Downs, Keith Emerson, King Crimson ELP, Emerson, Lake and Powell, and many more. So an expansive package full of great music, presented in a 10x10 box, limited edition 7 CD set with a 64-page coffee table book with extensive notes for each album. Should be a big sprawling collection with a lot to unpack and uncover from one of the seminal prog artists. So definitely wanted to mention that one. Item number 4, another quick one. The Deer Hunter are revisiting their 2013 album Migrant with a new double LP called Migrant Returned. This is coming out October 6th, so right around the corner in about a month. The pre-orders are available now in all different kinds of colored vinyl editions. It's Casey Krasinsko went back to the studio with Mike Watts to remix the album with a bit more of a rock feel. Their album Migrant is a little bit more known for being a little bit lighter, a little bit more poppier, not quite as heavy, not quite as proggy as some of their Axe series albums in particular, but a bit of a fan favorite for many. Just a really beautiful album. It'll be interesting to see how they change it up with the new makes for this version that's supposed to be a little bit more rockier. The track list is all shuffled up. They're adding in a lot of the bonus tracks and material into the track listing also. So something that came out of the blue for me. I didn't really know this was coming until earlier this week, so it was a bit of a surprise. But I wanted to mention it for those Deer Hunter fans out there. I'm a massive one. I've pre-ordered my version, even though I already have the original Migrant on vinyl. But I'm curious to hear how the changes are, and all that stuff. It sounds like they're also on tour, on a Migrant tour, because of this basically 10-year anniversary of the album. So kind of cool that they're revisiting this classic album from their catalog, and we'll see how all of that pans out. So definitely something to put attention towards. And item number 5, I'm basically skipping to get into the Prog singles list. Number 5 Prog news headline is all the Prog singles coming out, so I want to speak about them more on an individual basis here. We've got Steven Wilson's new track called Impossible Tightrope from the upcoming Harmony Codex album, which is coming out September 29th. He released a track the week previous called Economies of Scale, which was a more shorter, more ambient electronic pop type number, where this is more of a sprawling 11-minute mashup of progressive rock, spiritual jazz, and electronica. Really should be much to people's liking who like that side of Steven Wilson's sound. The Harmony Codex sounds like it's going to be a very multifaceted album with a lot of different things going on in it, so I think that's going to be interesting for people. So this just gives another layer, another taste of the album. It seems like there's going to be another single next week also, so basically a single each week leading up to the album's release to give you a great taste and expectation of what the album should be. I'm actually holding off on listening to these because I want to listen to the album in full. A lot of my fellow prog YouTubers that I talk to do that. They don't listen to the singles. They want to have a pure album experience. Since the album's coming out so shortly in just a few weeks, I feel like that's a great chance for me to just listen to the album pure as it was meant to be heard without ruining it with hearing all these different singles. Usually I can't help myself and I'm listening to all the singles anyways, but this is a rare instance where I want to experience the album as it was meant to be experienced in full, because I know it's important to Steven with all these listening parties that he's been doing, where he wants people to be immersed in the experience and listen in a dark room with Dolby Atmos mixes aplenty. So I'm waiting to have that full-on experience. We'll see if the waiting pays off or not, but definitely an album that will be talked about on the channel. Number 2 single is Push by Trevor Rabin. This is coming from his upcoming album Rio, which is coming out October 6th. Another one that's right around the corner. This is a very proggy track that reminds me of Trevor Rabin era. Yes, it has a lot going on in the mix. Really cool stuff that I think many prog fans will really fall in love with. It's one of the best Yes-related tracks that I've heard in quite some time. Even though I love the latest Yes album, don't get me wrong, but this just feels like it has a classic spirit to it and is really cool. I really was enjoying that one quite a bit, and it increased my desire to hear the album even more. Then I have the new track from DiVirgilio, Morse, and Jennings called Anywhere the Wind Blows, which isn't really a prog track. It's more of a folky acoustic rock track. They're doing a style similar to Crosby, Stills, and Nash with great, beautiful 3-part harmonies and acoustic guitars. And it's just a really well-written, cool song from this group. They're coming out with their new album, Sophomore, on November 10th, which I'll be covering on the channel. Like I said, not a prog album, but done by 3 pretty notable prog rock heavyweights with Nick DiVirgilio, Neil Morse, and Ross Jennings. All great musicians and artists in their own right, in their own respective projects. So the album is also available for pre-order today. Available on limited CD edition with 2 bonus tracks, gatefold transparent red LP, and a gatefold transparent blue LP, as well as a digital version of the album. So that's available and out there to pre-order as well if you're interested in it. Like I mentioned, Mariusz Duda has his new single Embracing the Unknown from his upcoming, more electronic-focused solo album. And I have a track from District 97 called Crossfaded, I believe is how you say it. This is a wonderful American prog rock band, one of my favorites, releasing a new album called Stay for the Ending on October 20th, fronted by female singer Leslie Hunt. Really excited for this one. I've been hearing great buzz about it, that it's a return to form for them, and it's going to be one of their big statements as a band, one of the best things that they've come out with, so I'm excited, and we'll definitely be talking about it on the channel here. If this track's any indication, it should be something quite special. And then as a bonus track, as I mentioned on our singles list, the Deer Hunters track from Migrant and Escape, which starts their new reimagined version of the album. So just to get a little taste of what that might sound like, a little bit more of a rockier edge and a little bit of a different sound to it than the original track from Migrant. So those are my items for today. I hope you enjoyed the list today. A lot of cool singles to check out, a lot of interesting news bits that I think you guys should enjoy. As for the channel this week, I had a Prog Song Sunday with Jana, one of my favorites, where we looked at Gentle Giant's Peel the Paint, which is one of my favorite classic prog tracks, so definitely check that video out if you haven't yet. And then I did 2 reviews this week, both of albums that I really have been enjoying lately. One was the Flower King's new album, Look at You Now, which I talked about on Tuesday. A fantastic album that's just out now. If you're a big fan of classic symphonic prog, this is a no-brainer to check out. Of course, if you're a fan of Flower King's music in the past, this should be right up your alley. I also did a review of the new Unitopia album, 7 Chambers, which I have really enjoyed. Also, a return from the Australian prog band who I really loved back in the day of The Garden and Artificial, their earlier albums, but they've come back in a strong way with some great added elements, and it's just a sprawling, long disc, but full of great material that I think many prog fans will find enjoyable. So those are the items I have for you. Hopefully you're enjoying what's on the channel here. I have a review, like I said, upcoming of Southern Empire, which is basically the last of my trilogy of Australian prog albums that have come out from the same family of artists. And I am going to do an interesting show next Tuesday. I'm going to talk about the 10 albums that most influenced me in my musical taste and just as part of my journey. Basically, it's based upon a video I watched from Sea of Tranquility where Pete Pardo had Scott from the Prog Corner on, and they talked about the 10 most important albums for them in prog, and it inspired me to want to do my own version of it on my channel. So that's what's coming out on Thursday. So a little bit of a different flavor from the top 5, a little bit more expanded, and a little bit more of a personal story of my journey with music, perhaps, which I've talked in drips and drabs about on the channel, but this will be the full-on, full story about my musical journey in life up to this point. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this episode. I hope you enjoyed the news items. Let me know in the comments any news items that you came across that you're excited about, any new albums you're hearing, any new singles that have dropped that are gathering some attention from you. I want to know about them. I listen to everything people say, and I'm excited to read the comments for this video. So thank you guys so much, and I'll hopefully catch you in a future episode. Bye, everybody.